Welcome back to the Athlete Hackers Podcast. My name is Chris Schrade.
And I'm Mark Spelman. We got a great guest today. One of my former players, basketball players, a gentleman that I've come to admire from afar for what he is doing in the world of basketball training, how he has not let some setbacks in his life hold him back, but have actually used them to propel him forward. It's my honor to have you on today, Mr. Sean Crawford.
Thanks for coming on, Sean.
Thank you, Chris, Mark. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So Sean, give us your story. Give us the Cliff Note version of how you got to Fairfield, what you did after Fairfield, what you're doing now, and then we'll dive deeper into a bunch of subjects.
Okay. I've had a kind of chaotic upbringing that led me to Fairfield. As a sophomore in high school, I left New York City kind of early. At the time, my stepfather tried to kill my mother. So at an early age, I was a key witness in an attempted murder case. High school really wasn't a thing for me. I never really went dealing with lawyers, court cases. So I left and went to prep school. While in prep school, national semifinal game, Ed Cooley walks up to me after a game and offers me a full scholarship. At that time, it came down between Wichita State, Drake, and Fairfield. I've never seen Fairfield before. Didn't know who was on the roster. Didn't know what campus looked like. But I signed my letter of intent right away. During my years at Notre Dame Prep, I got to play alongside Michael Beasley. And my team, we ended up winning a national championship. 15 of us went Division I. I get to Fairfield thinking everything was peaches and creams. I'm coming in as an older, mature point guard. I barely played as a freshman. In the midst of my 4 years off the court, my freshman year, my house burned down. As a sophomore, my grandmother passed away. My junior year, first day of practice, I tore my ACL. And my senior year, my little brother was hit and killed by a drunk driver. After, college, which we had great 4 years, 421 seasons, regular season champions, we lost in 2 conference championship games by combined of 5 points. I played in postseason play for 3 years. I played overseas in Turkey with a team called Anadolu Efes, which is one of the top teams in Turkey. Last game of that season, tore my ACL again. That kind of propelled me in. Yeah, it is, very unlucky kid. That's who I was. But it kind of shifted me into training. It gave me a different view for the game, more of a mentor. I've seen it from being the best player to the worst player, dealing with life situations, and then, being around Ed Cooley. The one thing about him that people never understand, he knows how to play the game. And being around him long enough, for me, it wasn't about basketball. It was how could I play the game? How can I talk the game? And turn something, basketball into something bigger than I thought for myself. I got into training, and it's taken me now with the Knicks. 6 months ago, I was with the LA Clippers. Last season, I coached in Turkey, played development for a team called Başakşehir Istanbul. And now I've been with the Jumpman Jordan brand for the past 6 months as one of their key ambassadors and basketball trainers.
Awesome. So when we get done this podcast, I'll let you know my sizes.
Send them over. I got you.
You know me. I'm a big gear whore as anybody. So if it's free, it's for me. Like
I
most
got you guys.
So you touched on a couple things there, and one, I didn't know about your stepdad and mom. So sorry to hear about that. And you had a full plate as a very young individual who had to do a lot of things on his own. Yeah. You had to mature real quick and during a very difficult time. So looking back on that now, how would you say that shaped like who you are and what you do?
Honestly, I think, everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey is different. I think for me and the position and role that I've landed now in my life, I think I had to go through these things. Because I'm more of a mentor, not just a trainer. People don't understand, you being with me a lot in college as a trainer, it's a lot of life lessons that you look back on later in life. Before I really got into training, we were joking about it before we started the podcast, but I never liked the weight room. I didn't understand structure because I didn't have structure. I was being pulled all over the place. And there's certain things where it's like, you're not just a trainer, you're a mentor. For that hour and 15 that in that workout, it's an escape. I get to forget about the whole world. So those are life lessons that I took that now in my training. Honestly, it's never about basketball. No matter, I work with some of the best in the world and some of the worst. It doesn't matter. It's what you can take from this session to build confidence in somebody. Anybody can teach you how to build a basketball, but who's going to give you the confidence to try what you've been working on in a real game setting? And I try to apply it to life and connect that bridge.
Well, I think one of the things that you touched on is, the ability to be present and be where your feet are. A lot of, especially with the pandemic going on, you've got a lot of kids, a lot of athletes who their school and their sport was their escape from probably not the best home life or situation that they would deal in. I tell my 3 children, you have a lot of classmates that when they go to school, this is where they get their food. And this is really the only safe place that they have for their day. So, understand like the situation. I understand like you don't like being in the house and you miss seeing your friends, but for a lot of people that they've got a lot worse situation than what you're dealing with. So I think touching on that, like, using basketball not only as making them better at their sport, but making them better as a human being. And I think one of the things that you realize now is probably when we worked together for the 5 years that we were in constant contact with each other, you probably see me a little differently now than you saw me back then.
Yeah, definitely. 1,000%. You know what it is? And for me, with my story, one of my biggest problems was I was very emasculated as a kid. I didn't know how to speak to men or anyone, but particularly like I always had anger or aggression. So it's like, we're in the weight room. I didn't think it was helping me because off the court, I was going through so much. But, a story for me, I vividly remember the process of recruiting, right? So they bring in, at the time was one of my enemies because I didn't understand it or wanted to understand it. But one of my close friends now, Derek Needham, one of my teammates, of watching how they gave him the platform that I begged for, that I was working for, but I couldn't express emotionally what was going on. And I remember I went through a little phase and I wasn't playing. And you were like the only person that understood what I was talking about or going through. And I remember crying in the weight room. And you're like, yo, I got you. And that's kind of where our relationship changed from, you're not my trainer. You're like more of a big brother, father figure now, somebody I can rely on. And looking back now, it's just like, we all look for different sources to vent. Home problems, team problems, school problems. Sometimes we can talk to our friends, but now being a trainer, I understood the sacrifices you went through, and you having to manage over 7 teams. That's 7 different kids. Over 300, 400 different kids, personalities, emotions that you're dealing with on a daily basis. So for me, that, training wise, mentally, now I look back and I appreciate you much more now because it's what I'm dealing with in my personal life, helping kids the same way.
Well, and I think that's the biggest win for a coach. I love championship rings. I love trophies. I love banners. I like all the things, all the spoils that come with it. But at the same point, it's looking back now after, 10, 15 years of knowing you and hearing that me taking the time and not only not only working with you as an athlete, but first and foremost, seeing you as a person and working with you as a human being. I think a lot of coaches could do a better job with, first and foremost, understanding that you're dealing with a person. And then secondly, you're dealing with a human being, and you need to understand what is going on in their life off the court.
Yeah.
And in their personal, emotional, spiritual lives that you might not be taking into account.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but and I love playing devil advocate. Now that I look back, we were a team that, not only did we win, our coach, because of our success, got rewarded with $1 million+ contract. So this is a business. And once kids that we're bringing into these levels of, everybody's trying to feed their family. So if I'm making $1 million, you're not ruining this for me. I'm going to get the next best player if you're not doing the job. And then it goes, the head coach recruits his type of players. The associate tries to go get his for his resume. Then the second and the third. So essentially, even though everybody's on one team, you have 4 coaches with 4 different agendas.
Well, and it becomes a feeding frenzy.
Yeah. So it's just like, I got the chance being my junior year, I realized it the most, sitting out, being a regular student, just going to rehab in school, not traveling. I'm not on the team, but I got to sit behind the scenes and understand feelings, emotions, watching everybody go through it. And it's like, this is a business. This is not college. This is not basketball. This is not love. It's if you don't do your job, like it happened to me. I went from national championship. I'm coming to start at a school. At the time, we had preseason player of the year, John Hahn. We had Herbie Allen, so I sat behind seniors. Then going into my sophomore year, I got over-recruited at the point guard position. But, faith took its toll, and we end up starting together, and that team went to a championship. And we started a legacy from that part on, where I think we've had the most wins in a 4-year span. So the perception of how you look at things, but even for me, what I went through off the court made me mentally stronger on the court.
John, given what you went through as a young kid, obviously you overcame it and changed it for the better. And, unfortunately, as all of us know, people who go through that type of stuff don't always make it out on the other side the right way. If you could go back and you could tell 18, 19, 20-year-old Sean or someone going through the same stuff, a little piece of advice to help them get through, what would it be?
Ask for help. That's my biggest message. And my story, I was self-driven. I always had a chip because all I knew was basketball. That took whatever pressure I knew, basketball. But, there's this big perception of weakness. You asking for help is a sign of weakness. And the younger me, and I know younger athletes, they think they can't. It's so much pressure, but everybody goes through emotions. Everybody goes through hardship at different times of their life, different type of pressure. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to voice your problems. The healing process starts once you recognize you have a problem and then trying to fix it. So I would say to younger athletes or younger myself, the biggest thing I would say, I would open up more emotionally to people and ask for help.
Yeah, the more you bottle it up, the more you prolong it. It's going to come out at some point, but might as well get it done and over with, be able to move on quicker.
Yeah, and you understand yourself. Like we keep growing, we evolve, and you really can't evolve and be the best version of yourself until you take the time out to understand yourself.
I can only imagine your first year coming into Fairfield and having some trust issues with males. And the main 2 guys that you have to deal with are Coach Cooley and myself.
Yeah, it was tough.
By the way, we'd make a hell of a tag team in professional wrestling.
Yeah. And it's the get like iron sharpen iron, right? I'm an alpha. I come from a national championship team. I'm used to fending for myself. And really not listening to people. It's just like, you say I can't do this, I'm going to do it. And then you get into a situation where you have 2 different coaches. My head coach is the alpha. my strength and conditioning coach is an alpha, and they're going. So every on the court, off the court, I'm being challenged. And it's not more so of attitude or, you know, he wants to do his own thing. I've never had leaders around me. It was, you're so good, we're going to let you do what you want. And now it's like, I don't care how good you are, you're going to do it my way. And all kids, we all come from these top high schools, prep schools, thinking we're the man. Now you're back in a new pot where everybody was the man. Now, can you be coached? Can you take guidance and leadership? A lot of kids can't until you get the phone call like I did where it goes, it's time for you to leave. And you'll see how quick things change. It's like, I'm not calling home telling people I just ruined the $200,000 scholarship that had nothing to do with basketball. It's just, you know, the business, if practice is at 12, make sure you're there at 11:30, taped and ready, already sweating, not walking in at 11:50. Learning how to play the game, that would, you know, the biggest thing, Mark and Ed Cooley, it doesn't matter what you go through, right? Everybody's going through something. If people don't enjoy being around you, it's never going to work. So, you know, I've had some real ugly days, but I came in with a smile on my face. I came in and gave it everything I had. And then I'll go cry in the shower. I'll go back to the dorm and cry and feel for myself. But I know once I step in between these lines, I got to give everything I have because that's all I got. That's why I'm here. Everything else will take care of itself.
Well, and for the young athletes, you know, and we touched on it early, it's that ability to be present where you're at, not thinking about where you're going, not thinking about where you've been, but actually being present in what you're doing. And that goes so far beyond just the physical aspect of being where you need to be. You need to be locked in mentally, emotionally into where you're at and what you're doing with whoever you're doing it with. I mean, I would assume, I think probably in the 4 years, the team's probably gotten thrown off the practice court. And I'm pretty sure I've thrown the team out of the weight room once or twice.
Yeah, more than that. And I don't even think it was the weight room we got thrown out. We kept getting thrown out during conditioning. We would have conditioning, and I'll never forget. The first one, me and Ryan Orlando cried. He was 7-foot recruit. We come from good program up, and we got to touch the turf at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is summer school, and you know, everybody's half-assing, and we might have ran 15 sprints already up and down, and he threw us out, and we're dying, and he's like, we're going to try this again every day this week, and we're like, what? Like, this is college? But, you know, even that, it brought us together as a unit. It made us talk more. It made us challenge each other, push each other, because it's like, I'm not running for you. So if you want to stay up, like the Last Dance, everybody's watching, right? That's kind of us. That accountability where, hey, Dennis, you want to do what you want? Go do it. As long as it doesn't affect us on the court. And that's kind of how, you know, as a young team, we gelled, being thrown out of workouts. And the thing was, we had huge different weight classes. We had guys 260, 250. Then you had me 153 pounds. So, but no, we worked. And I think, you know, that was a key to our success. Before the pressure on the court, it came in our workouts. We were so competitive. You know, we did have a team where Derek Needham was freshman of the year. Anthony Johnson was defensive player of the year. Mike Ivanovich was sixth man of the year, regular season champions, and Ed Cooley was coach of the year. So with so much pressure, so much success, but it didn't start on the court. Because like even that start of that year, we started off losing. And then we turned it around and started getting after it. But it's just like, you have to have people that believe in you more than you and understands the blueprint. A lot of trainers, coaches, they don't know how to adapt. It's my way or the highway, but they also don't take that time out to understand their players on and off the court. It's, hey, do you do what I say because I want to win? And it's like, you know, once you got a player to go through the wall for you, that's where winning starts.
I think one of the best examples of that is the gentleman that came after Coach Cooley, he didn't adapt to the players that he had, and he tried to force the players to adapt to him. Where I think a good coach, you don't try and take the square peg and jam it into the circle. You take the square peg and put it into the square hole. I mean, you take what you have and you adapt to what the athlete can do best. So at the end of the day, you can win games. I mean, as you said, this is a business. I mean, when I know when Coach Cooley left, you all came to me and were like, why did he leave? I was like, he's getting paid 5 times the amount he's getting paid here, if not more. He's going back to his hometown where he's from, and he's going to the Big East.
Yeah. But, and that story we still talk about to this day. That's why the ruling, all of these new rules that are changing, some I understand and some I don't. But people forget, money's playing a big part right now in college basketball. All the college athletes want to get paid, but see, I'm contradicting myself. From that team, which was rare that we take a lot of credit for. And, Spell, we do give you a lot of credit in that. We were a mid-major team where 5 of us played professional. That's really unheard of. You can go to the Dukes, North Carolinas, and you have, 5, 2 in the NBA. From the MAAC conference, we had 5 guys play professional basketball on the same team. That's not like one championship run team, 5 of us played pro. One of us was making over $1 million. That's kind of unheard of from the MAAC itself. So
was that because of the connection that you had as a team? Maybe some teams aren't as connected. There's guys that don't like each other.
Yeah.
With the 5 of you that went, were you all in contact and telling each other, what's going on in terms of, what you got to do to become a professional, where to go?
Yeah, you know what it is? We were, we all had a love-hate relationship. We were all alphas, but you had your Rakim Sanders came from Boston College. We knew he was going to be the man. Then Derek Needham proved himself as a young guard in the conference, and he said, no, this is my school. This is my team. And then guys like me, I'm the glue guy, but I'm not just playing defense. Y'all are going to give me the ball. Then you have a 7-footer that's like, if y'all don't give it to me, I'm not rebounding. So we, in the gym every day, our practices was amazing. Fights, Jamel Fields, Desmond Wade, Desmond Wade transferred from Houston, led Conference USA in assists for 2 years in a row. And now he's with us in practice every day. But it was, we had a brotherhood. Lunches at 7, dinner, we all go together. We did so much together where it hurt because we knew we were going to break up when Cooley left. It was a beautiful thing. Study halls, we all go to the movies, eat together in a quad together. So we really had a really big brotherhood, and we all still keep in contact. So I think that's why we won. Because behind the scenes, there was a lot going on. We got to feel the business.
Do you think that's why the 5 of you went professional, or do you think there's some other factor where, the 5 of you went professional, but you said, you look at a team like Duke and you have 2 that go to the NBA and 3 others that go on with life and don't go on any further?
Yeah, I honestly think that's why. We were so hungry and we motivated and pushed each other so much. Rakim was the first. Portsmouth, he was supposed to be late second round, didn't go. That fueled a fire for everybody else. When you have a kid transfers for 1 year and scores almost 800 points in a season, what would he have done if he was here for 4 years? Yeah. And to see him not make it, it motivated us to push even harder. I know Derek went to Lithuania, won a championship, and he was able to get – I don't know how it worked out, but Ryan Orlando went to the same team. And then he won a championship. So it was just I honestly, we talk about it all the time. We motivated each other. We pushed each other. And that brotherhood, now we're panning out to careers and outside of basketball, but We're proud. Like Derek is still going. Rakim is still going. So we root for them. We cheer for them because they represent us at the end of the day.
That's great.
Well, I mean, one of the things you touch on, and I say it all the time, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. But I also, a lot of what I did was to put you all in competitive situations, and not only put you in competitive situations, but taking maybe the best athlete or player and put them in a deficit situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're the fastest guy on the team. Okay, well, you got the walk on now as your partner for these relay races, and if you lose, there's consequences for losing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't do first, second, and third. I do one team wins.
It's funny you say that because he played a major part, and we can go on scenarios all day. But we had a walk-on named Gary Martin.
Funny.
Gary's gonna kill me when he hears this. Gary showed us what hard work honestly meant. Gary would go out, get drunk, and he'd come to practice and he'd kill and it had nothing to do on the court. Extra hustle. He knew how to play the game. Like, listen, I'm not on scholarship, but I need this to get further ahead in life. And he'd show up every day and he'd grind it out. So it's like, you're not going to lose to him, but he's going to give you everything he got. So, and that made, I'm not going to lie, Spelman, you started a lot of fights. There was so much tension between us. Like, we competed at such a high level where it's farmer walks all the way down and back. And guys are going like, what are you yelling at each other like that? But it made us so competitive.
Because
I think a lot of teams
had to do it again.
Start over, yeah. A lot of teams don't get that competitive nature because I'm trying to outplay you for your spot. And we got to a point where we don't care who scores. We want to win. So it motivated us and it pushed us more on the court and off the court where, like, I vividly remember a freshman, Spelman, you might remember the story. A freshman came in first day, challenged me, not knowing who I was. I'm here to take your spot. And I said, okay, say it again, see what happens. And I punched him square in the face. It was a big thing. After I went straight into Ed Cooley's office, said, Coach, listen, I punched him in the face. He was like, listen, all right, that ends now, right? Whatever happened on the court. And right after, I went over to him, listen, and we speak all the time now. It's like we're best of friends. But that was the edge we had. Peanut Johnson.
You punched Peanut?
No, not him. They saved me. Anthony Johnson probably was the biggest player I've ever played with. About 250, 6'5", 6'6".
6'8", 6'9", 250. Coming from Florida.
My role was to make free throws. And for some strange, we had media crew. We were going to, if we won, we played Niagara at home. It would be our first we'd win the regular season flat out. And in practice, I kept missing free throws. And every time I missed, they had to run. I had this weird foot problem where I didn't run. And he went crazy, missed one more free throw. And the Alfred and me, now this camera's all over the gym. And we're screaming match. And Ed is trying to stop it. And I missed again. And I was like, now run. And all hell broke loose. And they saved me. He threw me out of practice. And then he's like, I saved you, right? he was, but that leadership, the next night, I ended up making 4 free throws in overtime to win the game. And in the conference, we laughed, but it was that motivation, that leadership, and we all held each other accountable. It was like, that's end up what won the game for us. But if I didn't try to kill you yesterday in practice, would I have got the best out of you? Like, no. So it's like we really pushed each other. For a mid-major, at that time, George Mason and Siena were like the teams to beat. And to think about it, for us to win the regular season and Siena still three-peat and get at-large bids, Iona gets at-large bids, we took that personal.
Good. Sean,
I want to know who the freshman was that you got in a fight with.
Oh, Jamel Fields.
Oh, okay.
Jamel Fields, yeah.
Was that one? That was before or after he bit his tongue?
That was, that was before. No, that was freshman year. Yep, that was his freshman year before. It was first day of pickup.
It's funny how those things work out. I've got a bunch of friends that started our relationship started in a similar fashion. Let's switch directions a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning of your athletic career. What sports did you play? How did you practice? How did you get better? When did you first get into conditioning and lifting weights? Take us through that journey.
I started playing soccer. I'm Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. I grew up with reggae music and soccer balls. I never honestly knew nothing about basketball. Even through high school, I knew nothing about that. Like about 5th, 6th grade, playing in the schoolyard before school was like my thing. I got to play in 4th grade with the 5th and 6th graders, and they're like, he's really good, but it was never organized. It was, we're playing. And then one day I had a hoop in my backyard. I begged them for it, and they see me playing through the blinds. There was no more soccer. I started playing basketball around 5th, 6th grade, CYO, AU. Even throughout what I was going through in high school, I never really understood high school. AU didn't really understand it. It wasn't until my junior year I played with the New York Gauchos and Metro Hawk with my AU team, Samato Samuels, Sylvan Landsberg, who else? Devin E. Banks, a whole bunch of NBA guys. And I realized the politics of basketball. Like, we're being flown to all the Nike events, Top Gear. And I'm like, this is a real thing. Growing up, I only knew 2 colleges, UConn and St. John's. I honestly didn't know anything else existed outside of that. I didn't know conferences. I didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't know.
It's interesting that you bring up soccer, because a couple podcasts before, a large portion of what we're trying to teach is, a lot of athletes, the way you become a better athlete is by playing different sports. And I coached my son's 4th grade team this year, and I had a kid on the team who, when we started the season, he was one of the bigger kids. So I had him at center, to begin with. Mm-hmm. And as the season went on, I started to see his athletic ability, know a little bit more about him, and understood that, his primary sport was soccer. I ended up putting him at point guard a couple times because his footwork was so good from doing all those dribbling drills that he could knock people back off on their heels and get past them off the dribble. And it was all a testament to soccer.
Yeah. Footwork, like I'm fast. That was one of my strengths. I was one of the best defenders. I took a lot of charges. Like, I just knew how the little things, but it all really came from soccer. Just footwork, my agility, and kids it doesn't matter the sport. What are you good at? And once you understand what you're good at, like now we want the all-around athletes. No, if you're fast, be fast, and how can you impact the game with speed? And that's what you should study, and then grow everything else. So for me, soccer was my thing. I played midfield. I had stamina, running all over the place. And then I started playing basketball, and besides my handle being really tight, I was just extremely fast.
Speed kills.
Yeah. And then, as I got old, I was 152 pounds in college. I wasn't the biggest. Like, I wasn't the biggest thing, but I was just so fast. Yeah, so for me, that's kind of how it took off, transitioning sports. I even tried to play in college, but at the skill level, I was just completely terrible. Like, I went to like one little mini practice with them playing, right, and the coaches laughed, and they were just like, no shot. You're not that good, but, thanks for, just being around the guys today. So I enjoyed it.
What about lifting weights? When did that come into play for you?
Freshman year of college.
No, you want me to be honest? It didn't really start until my junior year. It was introduced, like, in prep school, makeshift. Like at the time, Michael Beasley, 6'9", Sean Williams was 7'1". We had he's the number 2 pick in the draft. We had kids going to ACC, and then it's me. we didn't really have a strength and conditioning coach.
Hmm.
I got to Fairfield, I didn't understand the importance of upkeep. You know, I was a guy where we're lifting, we're 10, 15 minutes in the lift, Sean is gone. I have an excuse to say my knee or my back, or because I didn't care about it. It didn't, like, for me, my role was, I'm fast. I can't lift what they can, but they can't guard like I can. And confidence-wise, I'm the best shooter here. I have to play.
Hmm.
Then you transition into game, and wear and tear. You know, the biggest thing people don't understand about even college basketball is not the games. Can you make it through practice?
Yeah.
2-a-days for the first 2 months until the first official day of practice. That's where the wear and tear starts. So
It's
my
a long
junior
season
year,
too.
yeah, summer school, preseason, then you get into season, and it's just like I didn't understand it until my sophomore year. We end up making it. We lost in the championship game, where I started the last 12 games of the season. A couple people got hurt. I went from, hey, you should transfer, to the opportunity. And I took advantage of it. I was at a point where I was hitting like 3 threes a game. At the end of the season, championship game comes around, I shoot 1 for 11 from the 3-point line. And, you know, what was different? And I'm like, I've never sustained that much success in college because I didn't play that much. But look back now, at the end of I burnt out. I played my best basketball, but it was like, where were your legs? Were you lifting? So me thinking I was getting away because I'm still faster. Now my speed wore down. Could I still be effective? I was still good enough to guard and the hustle plays, but were you able to make a wide open shot? And I think that's where I came back. Like, you know what? I came back at like 170, or like I came back bigger. Preseason, my junior year was great, and everybody seen the difference because I took it serious. I remember calling back like, Spell, what do I eat? I started protein shakes. I've never done that before. So, you know, it's not the first time I was introduced to it. It was when did I apply it and accepted that this is another part of the game that you need to take it to the next level.
I think it's a good story because, you know, a lot of us are, you know, thick-headed about a lot of stuff, especially when we're young. We don't understand things. But one of the showcases of a good athlete is that they can look at what they're doing and how they're performing and break down what's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, throw out the crap and keep the good stuff that helps you out. Like, that ability to analyze is what separates a lot of great athletes from not so great.
Yeah. Like, and you even see now, the higher you go, they're just bigger. Like, strength-wise is, you know, my favorite, and the super athletes, you know, they all got hurt. But when you think of the Derrick Rose, Nate Robinson, Eric Bledsoe, like, they're compact, but they're so strong, so explosive. Isaiah Thomas, the things you see, we go, wow, like, this is amazing. No, they're just freak of natures. But how long could that sustain? They all had ACLs or like really bad knee injuries. It's just like, it's hard to sustain that no matter who you are because they're so explosive. So every level you look at, the littler you are is how strong you are.
Yeah. And, you know, the older you get, the longer you go on, the harder it becomes.
Yeah.
And I think it was the last episode of The Last Dance. I was sitting there for a minute at the end of the last game when they're showing Jordan on the bench drinking the Gatorade and they're talking about how tired he was. I didn't think he was going to get up for a minute, you know, because you could see how worn out he was, you know, and he's older. He's what, 37 or 38, somewhere around there at that time.
Yeah.
You know, so as you go on, you know, that base that you build with the strength and conditioning becomes so important as you age.
Definitely.
Let's remember the first thing that Mike turned to after Detroit beat him again was the weight room.
Yep, I got to change.
And not only him, the whole team.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, and I always said this, and when we talked to Derek, I told him, I was like, listen, you might be the best player, you might be the hardest worker, but I'm still going to get on you when I know you can give me more. Because the rest of the guys need to understand that if you're giving me less than 100%, it's unacceptable. Because the workouts, the practice has to be so hard so that when you get into a game, it's easy.
Yeah. See,
You know, the analogy I always use is like the practice, the weight room, and the conditioning. That's your balanced diet. Like that's your fruits and your vegetables and your protein. And then the games are dessert. Like that's why you do all the other stuff.
mm-hmm.
If we get to a game and you're getting tired in a game or fatigued or getting pushed around, we can't go back in time and change that.
Yeah.
So like I need to get you to the fittest and strongest as possible so that when we get into those 2-hour game situations, broken up into 4-minute spurts, that you can give me 100% for 4 minutes for 2 hours.
Yeah. You know, and we joke about this all the time now. Even in the case of a kid like Derek, I say if Derek had a stronger personality on the court, we easily win 3 championships. Why? I didn't understand it. Derek might have been the hardest working person I've ever seen. Like that kid lifted he came in, he was already physically, but he worked. He was just so strong. I don't know who told him where he came from or when we got there, but he lived in the weight room. And at 5'11", his lifting partner was Peanut. And I'm like, this guy is throwing up 220. I'm not. I'm walking out. I see y'all tomorrow. And Derek would challenge himself to try to lift that weight. And he really took care of his body. Like, you know, that kid he worked so hard. And I think he just didn't know how to verbally lead yet because he was so young. But he led by example.
Well, and in that situation, you did definitely need a leader that was going to challenge you all. Not just do as I say, but, you know, to jack you up a little bit. Yeah. And there, you know, I think you realize now there was a method to the madness behind everything I did.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason I didn't put you with Peanut.
Yeah. I would have broke my chest.
or he just would have beat the hell out of you.
Yeah, but you know, and even then we had a Warren Edney, right? He was Chris Paul's little cousin. We had a freakish athlete, 6'5". We had a Urel Hawkins, 6'5", and they're throwing up serious weight. But it was like that's the kind of team we had. We had freakish athletes. We had 7-footers. We had a 6'9". We had speed. Like we had everything you can think of, but we didn't have that one. Like I turned into the voice, and it was because I got to see everybody else talent and say, "All right, I'm not good enough to do this, but you won't speak to me like this. This is why you won't speak to this person." But I knew I came here with a national championship. None of you have. I know what it takes to win, but I just can't outplay you guys because you're too talented and too big at our positions. And that's what made us a scary, dangerous team. For a MAAC team, we were huge.
Well, it's like Steve Kerr said, you know, like, and what you just said reminded me about it. It's like, you know, I'm as competitive as you are, Mike. I'm just not as talented.
Yeah.
So like, and he got everybody's respect, and you probably got everybody's respect when Jamel came in and said he was going to take your spot, and you cracked him right in the jaw.
Yeah.
Said, no, you're not. Everybody on the team was like, all right, we can get down with that.
And by the way, welcome to Fairfield.
Yeah. So, you know, I got it all covered up. And even for me, I have it tattooed on my arm in the year I graduated. And people give me so much about it. Like, why do you have Fairfield tattooed? I said, honestly, it really had nothing to do with the name of the school. It was the people and the brotherhood. You know, my story's unique. My story's different. I don't make it out of my situation without Fairfield. You know, without you Spell, Mark Ayotte, Cooley, just the team, like, you know, to get a little deeper. When my brother passed away my senior year, a lot of things were a blur to me. To my mom, she still to this day doesn't remember much. But the one thing, everybody came and they walked in the church, they made a lap, everybody paid their condolences to my mom and walked down, gave everybody a, that's the only thing she honestly remembers. So out of everything that went on around it, and she remembers my whole team coming. So that was just a testament to the unit we had, the people we had. It's bigger than basketball. And those are life lessons that we're going to take. And as a trainer, I know how to move around certain situations as a father, as a friend. And that's what Fairfield was able to do for me. So thank you again for that, Mark. You know, you guys played, like I said, my story is very different. But just to know you have people in your life that care outside of basketball and sports, it molded me into a better teammate, friend, and a man at the end of the day. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, and I appreciate you. And I think I told you probably when you graduated, once you're in my life and you give me 4 years dealing with my nasty ass for 4 years, I'm in your life forever, whether you want it or not. So like, I kind of want to jump from there and what you're up to now.
Okay.
How people can get in touch with you and try and help you out to build your brand and do whatever I can to help you get to your next step, like what you're doing now, where you want to go, and where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years. And to give you a heads up on that, Derek kind of gave us a little backstory on where he thinks you two are going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, we're going to be back at Fairfield running things. So right now I run the community relations department with the Knicks. I was out in LA for the last 6 months with the Clippers. Did camps and clinics, ran the camps and clinics for the Clippers. Kind of the same thing with Jumpman, doing a lot of workouts at the space. Now I'm with the New York Knicks, but I train a lot of WNBA, NBA, and overseas men and women. So
now, are you doing strength and conditioning or basketball workouts?
Basketball, skill development training.
Gotcha.
Breaking down film and just trying to give you a different view on different moves or how you can be more effective in your game.
If you're doing strength and conditioning workouts, you and I were going to have to fight.
No, not me. I still do a couple push-ups, dips, and sit-ups there, but that's as far as it's going for me. Dream job, honestly, I don't know. I've been on the fence about this. I just love what I do. I love training. I love the mentoring. I go around and I speak. I tell my story. This is all fresh and new to me. I've been a full-time trainer for 2 years. Prior to that, I was with Michael Beasley for 2 years as his full-time trainer and personal assistant. And the transition, I know for a lot of people from playing to career is kind of rocky, but I God bless me. And I'm enjoying every second of it and each way it's taking me. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I see myself aligned either play development on NBA staff, opening up my own facility. And honestly, for me, dream come true, and we talk about all the time, is going back to Fairfield and making it a powerhouse. They just hired Jay Young. I know, a new beginning, but at some point in my life, I would love to go back and give back to the university that ultimately kind of saved my life. So, and I think me and Derek, when it's all said and done, we're going to do some special things together.
I really would have loved to have seen what Cooley could have accomplished there if he stayed. Because I think he was getting it to the point where it could have been a Gonzaga, a Creighton, a small Jesuit school that could have done some damage on the basketball front.
Honestly, it would have been bigger. I think we had the potential, for us you was there before me. There wasn't a lot of winning. In my 2 years, we went from my freshman year, we finished with 8 players, 3 walk-ons, and we lost to Siena in the semifinals. Then as a sophomore, we finished the season with 9 players, and we lost in a championship game. He was able to get recruits. And at that level, having that on the East Coast, like Iona has now become the powerhouse in the MAAC and one of the top mid-majors in the country. And now, with Rick Pitino, he's getting recruits left and right now. So I can see them being one of the new powerhouses on the mid-major level. But, Ed Cooley's doing great things at Providence. And I think if he would have stayed, Fairfield would be one of the biggest mid-majors in the country right now.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, once again, he added a 0 to his paycheck.
I'm not mad at him. I'm not.
You were mad at him.
Oh, yeah.
You were mad at him.
Oh, yeah.
All of you were mad at him at a time, and I had to kind of steer the ship for 6 months without having a coach.
Coach, yeah. But, for us, with the passion that, he was able to get out of us and the fire that we had as a unit to say, we made it this far with expectations of transfers. Like, here's an ACC player. And he didn't even want to play of the year.
He was freshman of the year.
But
he was the freshman of the year in the ACC.
It's crazy that, we were all together and then you leave. Like, this unique team you put together, we still lost in a championship game by 3 points. Like, that's a beautiful thing where we probably would have did a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, maybe it wasn't his job to make it the East Coast Gonzaga. That's going to be your and Derek's job.
Oh yeah, we definitely appreciate that. I think we're going to be destined for great things.
And awesome. If I'm still able to walk, I'll come back and help you guys out.
We'll have the crew together. Hey, we do have a regular season championship. They can't take away from us. So we do have that.
Awesome. All right, Sean, where can people follow you or get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram. My handle is JustCraw, JustCraw 121. And you can reach out to me by email at scraw12@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, I think this has been a great podcast. Your story is great for anyone who's going through a little bit of trouble. There's always a light at the end of it, and it's going to make you something more than you are anyways. So
thank you. I appreciate that. And, Chris, Mark, I really want to say thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Just being able to tell my story on this platform with genuine people that understand it. A lot of people don't get it. And it's a beautiful thing to have like-minded people around you that's passionate about what they do. And, I appreciate you having me on this morning.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out and tell us that story. Best of luck to you going forward, man.
All right.
Well, and I think what and I always go back to this, you went through some adversity and you went through some difficult times, but at the end of that, and like Eric Thomas says, it might be an hour, it might be a day, it might be a week, it might be a month, it might even be a year. But at the end, you're going to have success at the end of it. And I think you're seeing the fruition of that come true right now. And anybody that's looking to increase their basketball skills and wants to get better at their basketball, I cannot recommend anybody better or higher than the gentleman that I'm talking to, Mr. Crawford.
Repetition. Dribbling and shooting, repetition over and over and over again.
That's it. That's all we got.
Now, as we told you before we got on air, we always end with a couple stories.
I forgot about that.
About the process.
This is the best part.
Yeah.
This is the part you like the best because you think they're going to unearth some mystical theory. So give us your top 3 Coach Spelman stories.
All right. I'm gonna start with the best one. The best one was I missed a pickup. I was complaining about my feet, which later on I ended up going to the doctor having real bad feet problems. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing today. My feet hurt. I watched them play, and coach comes in the office like, all right, go speak to Spell. Leaves it like that. I get down. He goes, yeah, I see you tomorrow, 5:30. What? For what? I'll see you here. At the time, Spell was a little bit bigger. I didn't think he was in shape. And we run probably, I think it was like a 5 or 6 mile run at 5:30 in the morning. We ran down to the beach, the whole boardwalk and back, and I was dying. And to see him laughing while he's jogging with me, it was a real eye-opening shocker. Yeah, I couldn't stand him after that because he know he owned me. And whatever I did, I knew he would tell the boys. So I kind of showed up too early every day ever since. Another story.
He doesn't gas easily at all.
Oh, no. It got me extremely mad. I was really, and he was running with lacrosse shorts on, which aggravated me even more.
What you all don't get is my sport is I was a distance swimmer. And I did that through college. So, like, doing something for hours is not beyond my capabilities.
Yeah, that was.
You didn't know that.
No, I didn't. That was a rough one. Another one, we did something in a weight room one day. I was being real emotional. I was just having an episode, and he sat there and laughed like I was. It was during rehab. I was rehabbing my knee, and then I started lifting again, upper body, and I kind of got teary-eyed in there, frustrated, and he sat there and laughed at me, and he was just like, I understand, but that weight's not going to lift itself. And he really watched me. He was like, get it out, but you're going to finish this workout. And I couldn't stand him for that. Just let me be vulnerable right now. Let me get up and say I'm leaving. I'll be back tomorrow night. He held me accountable, and that was a blessing. And honestly, for me, this is not even more a bad thing. I remember losing the MAAC championship as a senior. The first person that grabbed me knowing it was over was Ryan Orlander. And despite everything I had, coaches or trainers, family, friends, Mark came and he grabbed me and hugged me in the middle of the court, just embraced me. And I broke down in tears. For me, I knew it was over at Fairfield. I had a crazy year, but just to know somebody you go to war with every day pushes you and motivates you to be better, even when you don't see it in yourself. At the end of the road, he was still there with me. And, he does say it, once you're with me, you're with me. Not a lot of men hold up their word, and he's done that, and, we're still here. So I thank you, man, for being a great father figure, mentor, brother, trainer to a lot of us that may not have understand and gave you your flowers in the moment. But thank you.
Awesome. I don't know how we can end it on a better note than that.
Gonna make me cry.
Awesome. Sean, thank you again, man. Come back on again. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Check us out at athletehackers.com. We're building a site where you're going to be able to search through these podcasts we do to find the right topic that you feel like listening about at that time. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube. If you have any questions or you want to be on the show, info@athletehackers.com. I'm Chris Schrade. Thanks for listening or watching.
I'm Mark Spelman. Once again, thank you, Sean, for being our guest and all that you're doing with the youth today and helping people get better and realize them being their best selves.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
Awesome. Peace.
All my best. God bless. Have a great week. See ya.